What's up, everyone? This is Zach with the Roads to Liberty podcast, and I am here with the Vice Chair of the Libertarian National Committee, Alex Merced. Congratulations on your victory. How you doing?
Thank you so much. It's been a crazy week and a half, but it's been wonderful. It's been great working with the new LNC on all sorts of cool stuff, and also just being able to have a bigger megaphone to talk about all the awesome candidates we have and all the awesome stuff going on in the LP.
Yeah, so, as we were just talking about, I just picked up a new candidate. There's George Hendrickson in South Dakota.
Nice.
I guess South Dakota has one congressional seat, 2 senators, 1 congressman. That is how
That's
small
awesome.
South Dakota is. So,
Got it.
That's
So
going to
he's
be
running for that seat.
yeah. So you, what was it? Third ballot, you got elected. You were pretty much ahead the whole time, and it seemed like it was a foregone conclusion to me, anyway.
It was intense. I was nervous after the first ballot because it was a whole night for everyone to kind of think about their votes and whatnot. So it was like, I know me and the other candidates over there at the gala were basically shaking hands and doing what we need to do to round up any votes we could for the next day. After the second ballot, it definitely I felt a lot more confident that on the third ballot we had it. But it was a intense few days because it could have gone any way. There was so many different factors as far as, there were so many delegates at the convention that weren't people who were at the conventions that I went to throughout the year, that aren't people who seen a lot of the videos and debates and stuff like that on Facebook. So basically, there was a lot of delegates there that was the first time for them meeting the candidates. So it was basically a game of getting to know everybody. And that's what it should be, because we're here to represent the Libertarian Party. And it's about getting to know everybody who's in the party and getting to know what they need so we can support them better. So basically, I spend my entire time at the convention shaking everyone's hands and trying to get to know everybody a little better and get everyone to know me a little bit better.
Cool. So I am convinced that you are the one person in this country that can talk as fast as Ben Shapiro.
Thank you. I do what I can.
So this is my pet project, and I heard that you were in on the little group that's working on this. So I proposed to the Region 6 representative to have a motion to create a position for new media director, and he said that you were kind of in on that conversation. Can you talk about that at all? Because I'm curious.
Yeah, there has been some back and forth on that. I'm not on the official LNC list yet, but I have talked to John and some of the other reps, just kind of going a general back and forth of questions we'd have. So basically, I'm all for having more staff. We need to invest in more staff so that we can better support affiliates. But at the same time, there's a lot of great work being done by our volunteers on social media and whatnot. So just trying to figure out what the best balance is of how can a new staff member, what would their role be, and how would they best work with the volunteers that we have doing that? Because the last thing we want to do is have a director who comes in and becomes such a micromanager that they scare volunteers away and we actually get less done, versus someone who actually really empowers the volunteers and really helps the volunteers be better and gets everyone excited and energetic. So it's really, one, defining the role as best as possible, and 2, figuring out how much resources we need to find someone who will be effective at that position. Because you can always have a nominal salary, but you may not get the right person who can do the right job. So doing some research on what that investment would be and then making sure we have the funds for it. So that's kind of where the discussion is right now. But I definitely want to invest in more staff, whether it is on the marketing side, investing in more staff resources for the fundraising side and on the tech side. So I'm very open to that. It's just making sure we know what are the right investments and what are the details before rushing to any investments.
Yeah, definitely. So, what's it been like for the first week and a half?
It hasn't been like super crazy in the sense that like it's been a little crazy in the sense that now, before it was generally me reaching out to people to get insight on things, to learn about things. Now the dynamics kind of changed, where a lot more people are reaching out to me to tell me what's going on, which is an interesting change. But also, I mean, I was already on the LNC as a Region 8 rep, so I was already kind of following a lot of the conversations and had a feel for how those conversations go already. So that I'm very glad that I did get appointed the Region 8 alternate earlier this year. So that way I had that experience going in, because that's definitely been informative and it's helped me be productive from day one. But I did make sure that I got on the phone with Nick as soon as possible to kind of just for him to give me a rundown of how can I help him, what can I do to be most useful. Luckily, most of those things were things I was already doing. So far, so good. Yeah, just been going back and forth on the LNC list. The main thing that everyone's been debating right now is just auditing a lot of the votes regarding at large and judicial committee. I've kind of played a low key role in that debate because I've been focusing more on drafting some motions for some of the committees that, one, need to be renewed, and two, new committees I think we should have, like a retention committee, so that way we can focus on working how to get new members and retaining our current membership.
Oh, definitely. So, kind of the elephant in the room for what you guys are dealing with right now, the judicial committee. What's the feeling on that? Are they going to let it? Are you guys going to let it stand? Like, is there an answer to this question that's going to?
Oh, like, I mean, basically the options on the. I mean, the options on the table are we passed a motion, which looks like it's already going to happen. Passing a motion just recognizing the existing judicial committee votes. Joseph Bishop Henchman proposed a motion, got the co-sponsors needed, and I think most of us have already voted yes to recognize the results. So more than likely, the top 7 vote getters for JC will be the judicial committee, which, I mean, in the previous LNC cycle, the last 2 years, I don't think anything went to the judicial committee. Of course, you want to make sure you have one, because sometimes things might go to a judicial committee and you want them to be there to be able to weigh on those decisions. But the alternative would be that not have a judicial committee for the next 2 years, which I think is a much worse option, because then you don't have that mechanism that had any delegate input to kind of help balance the LNC. But it looks like we're going to recognize the 7 top vote getters, but there is still a debate. There's still another vote just to audit the results to make sure that the top 7 vote getters are the top 7 vote getters, and the top 5 vote getters for at large are the top 5 vote getters. Although Alicia Matson already pretty much posted all the information, all the ballots, all that stuff online, and most recounts have verified, and the changes that, or basically the inaccuracies that existed, didn't change the results.
So I just want to point out again how heartbreaking it was that Steve missed out by 1 vote.
That did break my heart.
It tortures my soul a little bit.
It does. I miss because me and him were both on the LNC last term, both as alternates, and I'm very sad that he's no longer around, at least as an LNC member, but it doesn't necessarily mean he won't be around as a committee member, because he was a platform committee person last time. Who knows if he decides he wants to go that route again when that time goes around, and there's a lot of new committees forming and vacancies being filled, and I would definitely love to have Steve on some of them, because he always has very valuable feedback and very valuable insights.
I think if there's a committee to teach people how to gather signatures, Steve's got to be on it, because that dude is like always out doing signature times.
And yes, for the record, we're talking about Steve Sheets from Pennsylvania, who is awesome. Former Pennsylvania chair, former Region 5 alternate, great guy running for Congress right now, so go support him.
Yeah, I forgot. So I forgot that this is going out to other places. Like I expect my audience to know who Steve Sheets is, because I talk about him all the time. I do his social media now, so.
Yeah.
Oh, Nathan. Yes. Okay, go away. So the other thing, you were talking about committees. What committees are most interesting to you, and what would you like to see happen there?
I mean, a lot of the standing committees already kind of do a pretty good job. Like Sam Goldstein's baby was the candidate support committee, which has been doing a great job. What they did is, over the last year, they created sort of a process. Because before, basically, what would happen is that candidates or affiliates would reach out to the LNC and just say, hey, we need money. And then everything kind of had to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. And when you're getting so many requests, it kind of makes it hard to do everything effectively. So with the new process, they've actually put benchmarks and a form so that way people can make formal requests. People know kind of what's expected ahead of time to be able to get resources, which I think helps the process all around. And they're going to continue on that and refining that process. And then there's the same thing with the affiliate support committee and the ballot support committee, or ballot access committee. So those are already kind of in motion. They've already begun kind of doing their job. The blockchain committee needs to be renewed, which I just proposed. I just put the motion up looking for sponsors this morning. Also, I put together the wording for a retention and outreach committee. The idea there is to create a document to help and National do a better job retaining members and reaching out for new members by just doing some research, putting together the findings in a document that we can all use to find good ways to do that. So that's looking for sponsors at the moment. There's a youth committee that got passed recently, and that's been a big discussion as well, discussing sort of what is the setup of that youth committee and who should be on it. A lot of people have a lot of excitement about that. So I think that's going to be a committee to really keep an eye on, because everybody wants to be on it. Everybody. And the other committee, sorry, I remember what other committees are there. I think most of the other committees are just more administrative committees regarding like employee compensation. But as the vice chair, I'm automatically on the executive committee. I got to do my first executive committee call Thursday, where we had to talk about ballot access funds for Connecticut. And here's the thing: if you are a state affiliate and you're looking to get resources for ballot access, Connecticut did it right. They came in, they had information regarding how many signatures they already had on hand, what resources they needed, what resources that they already had lined up to raise. So that way we'd be matching them. So basically, for every $2,000 they raised, we're matching them $2,000 up to $10,000 was sort of the result of the call. But they had all the information ready to make sure that we knew we were making a good investment. So if you're ever going to come and make an ask to the LNC, I recommend doing your homework, getting everything prepared as best as possible, because you're more likely to be successful if you have a plan and details than just a request.
Okay. Good job, Connecticut, then. So for all these committees, do they all have to be refilled with the new LNC? Is that like every committee or just some of them?
Every committee. The only committee that doesn't have to be done right away is the Convention Oversight Committee, because the way that committee works, they have to make another report 90 days from the end of the. But basically, most of the LNC members on the current existing committees have already been filled. We did that at the first meeting right after the convention. But right now we're in the process of trying to figure out. We're going to probably put out an email soon asking for people to volunteer, who wants to volunteer to be the non-LNC members of these committees. And then if these other committees, so basically, Joe Bishop Henchman should be putting out a motion soon for an elections committee that's going to look into sort of like how to improve elections at the convention, so we don't have issues like we did last time with at-large and judicial committee. The problem is there are currently bylaws issues that make it difficult to embrace just fully electronic voting. So basically the idea is, what's the best balance? What can we do for the next convention? And maybe what bylaw proposals might be needed to be able to have a more robust solution the following convention. So these are the kind of things that'll be done by that committee. And basically, based on the wording that I've seen of his current draft, looks like I would, as the vice chair, I would be the chair of that committee. So that'll be keep me busy for the next couple of years.
Oh, definitely. That'll make you the person everyone wants to hear from all the time, because that was such a cluster that now everyone's mad about it.
And if it doesn't go well in 2020, I'm going to be the one that everyone hates. Oh, well.
So just remember, Raptor for Candidate Support Committee, so that I can help connect candidates to good social media managers. Remember me. Remember me.
I will.
Okay. So, what have you had any? I guess has there been any like learning curve, or do you feel like you were really ready for it, having been an alternate already?
The alternate helps understanding the dynamics of like the email list and how motions get passed, how motions get generated, how to word motions. Sam Goldstein has been a great resource in that matter, because when I drafted the initial wording for the outreach committee back in when I first became an LNC alternate, and Sam gave me a lot of advice. He's given me a lot of sort of guidance on how to better do that, so that way you have motions that are more quickly adopted, quickly accepted. You're not going through the same sort of pitfalls over and over again. And that's one of the things that I've always said as when I was a candidate, that I'm going to rely on those who came before me. There's a lot of wisdom, there's a lot of experience there, and that is going to help me be a better vice chair, to be able to ask them questions and be like, okay, how do I make sure I do this right this time? How do I learn from the mistakes that have been done in the past? Yet still kind of bring sort of a fresh set of eyes from being someone who's sort of newer to the LNC in general. So trying to bring that balance that was always sort of the case I was trying to make. So that's all going well. The big thing I always feared was how it would be to run the actual national convention, but I got experience with that pretty quickly. So I feel a lot better about that. Like, I definitely have some work to do, but
I thought your way of getting control of the room back was awesome. Like, every time people would just start spiraling, and I forget what you were saying, but like the call and respond, that was so good.
I was just basically thinking of one. I kept asking myself, what would Nick do? That's basically the approach I took while I was on stage. I was like, okay. And then, like, once I saw that the at-large nominating speeches were about to be done, I wanted to make sure I was prepared. So I sat down and made sure I grabbed the the parliamentarian, and Alicia Matson, and said, okay, so basically next we're going into the election. What should be the next thing? So I made sure I was prepared before that came up, and I kept trying to be anticipating what the next step would be and make sure I asked the right questions ahead of time. Because I don't expect them to be Nick overnight, but I do hope to be able to be at a place where Nick can feel comfortable going to the bathroom when he needs to. So that's my ultimate goal, to make sure that Nick can let his hair down when he needs to, because I know there's a lot on his shoulders, and then it's always hard for him to not have that on his shoulders.
So I know it's really early for this question. Our previous chair said that vice chair said that the most important aspect of being vice chair was media appearances and pushing the libertarian narrative in media. Have you found a lot of media outlets coming to you or giving you the time of day? Is that accurate to you, or do you find that the internal stuff?
I've gotten a lot more attention within at least the libertarian media so far than I did before. I'll be probably making some appearance on some much more, let's say, some of the bigger audience libertarian podcasts in the next month or so.
That hurts me.
No. I don't mean anything to you, but I mean like a lot of the places that I wasn't able to get on before are now reaching out to me, and I think that'll grow. I've submitted all my media stuff to the person who does the PR for the party. So basically, as media requests come in, I'm now on that chain. And plus, now we have someone in New York. We didn't have someone in New York before, so now we have more coverage in the major media market that we didn't have before. So that is a benefit.
I didn't even think of that during the whole election, but that's actually really important.
Yeah, so now we actually have someone in the chain. Before, you had kind of Washington D.C. covered, you had LA covered, you had a lot of spots covered, but New York, you didn't necessarily have someone in that chain that covered New York. So now you do. So that's a plus. But I mean, as far as talking to media, I've always felt comfortable talking. I did, when I was running for U.S. Senate, I did get to go on statewide media a few times. And I do feel like I represented the ideas, the party well in those appearances. And I think anyone who knows the way I characterize the libertarian message and the party and what we're doing knows that I generally stay positive, I stay on message, and I need to talk a little slower, but I know how to be nimble in an interview.
All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
If you don't already do, please like my vice chair Facebook page. What I've been doing is posting updates on what's going on in the LNC, so that way everyone feels like they know what's going on. I want to make sure that people feel much more connected to what's going on in the LNC. Also, just recognizing awesome candidates across the country, awesome activists. So if there are activists that you want me to recognize that are doing amazing jobs in your affiliate, please send me a message so that way I can make sure to highlight them and quote you on how awesome they are. I really want to make sure that I keep everyone feeling connected and really build the community within the Libertarian Party, because we are growing and we're growing very quickly. And my thing is that as we grow, I want us to feel smaller, meaning we feel like a much closer community, even though we're growing, because that's how we stay. It's our loyalty to each other that's going to also keep us loyal to our principles and our ideas. So in that sense, building that community, and also that community is one of the best things that we do to show an example of libertarian values. The community that we're building, the help that we provide each other voluntarily and mutually, is a great example of the world that the libertarians want. So that way when people join the Libertarian Party, they don't just, the ideas are good. They actually see it in action, because we are an example of that world. So
all right. So everyone, there you go. That's Alex Merced. I'm Zach Taylor for the Road to Liberty podcast. Have a great week.
Thank you.